You're on mute.
What a great way to start. That usually happens automatically that I'm unmuted, but that's
You've been
okay.
silenced. Sorry.
What a great intro. That's retro Watch Mojo right there. Welcome, everybody. This is the Inside Podcast. Ash, how's it going?
Pretty good. That was probably our fourth or fifth bumper. We had a number, and the first ones were a lot more Spartan. Let's put it at that.
Well, we have a very special episode today because this week is Watch Mojo's official 20th anniversary. Last year, we did 20 episodes of the Inside Podcast looking at the trajectory of Watch Mojo over the years, but the official 20th anniversary is this week. So, Ash, take us back to January 22nd, 2006. Tomorrow, you're uploading the very first Watch Mojo video to YouTube. What is going through your head?
Not to YouTube, even though I was a early viewer of YouTube. I was uploading the first video to WatchMojo.com, and the site, was a rudimentary, basic, no CMS website. I remember vividly even the URL said .php, but there was no PHP going on there. To be honest with you, obviously we've discussed, I had a non-competition agreement, so I purposely wanted... It was the non-competition agreement prevented me from launching an online men's magazine. So I wanted a very female-oriented video. I think it was like how to hide your hips. The truth is I was extremely confident. And there goes that famous red couch in our first office on Saint Laurent in Montreal. I was extremely confident. Not saying this video was going to take over the world or... and that was the thing. This was an era of viral moments and viral clips. Wasn't interested in that. Wanted to build a catalog, doing, fashion videos, recipes, entertainment, travel. Super, super confident, excited, a bit kind of unsure. And, when I would share these videos with certain people, I remember Mark Cuban, I sent him the link. As I was looking for eventually investors. And, not to brag, but I look at where YouTube is now. I kind of envisioned this world where there would be this new ecosystem and it wouldn't be TV and all that. And I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it was kind of I don't get it. Why are you producing content, right? Nobody wanted to produce content. And I was that pyramid we've alluded to. Yeah. I was traditional media is going to stay on the corners and UGC is not what marketers want. I'm we're going to target that middle. But yeah, no, I'm pretty confident, pretty optimistic, but foreshadowing a lot of times I thought there was a light at the end of the tunnel, but just another oncoming train.
Well, to help us celebrate, we've got two very special guests on the episode today. We've got the Watch Mojo lady herself, Rebecca Brayton, joining us, and channel manager, longtime channel manager, very long time channel manager, Mike Patel, who I'm sure has some entertaining stories to tell us. Hey guys, Rebecca,
hey.
Mike, how's it going?
Hey guys, how are you?
Good. Oh, I've like everyone else at the company, I've worn many hats.
You're not wearing a hat today. You think you were wearing one earlier today?
No. Today we're celebrating. I don't need to wear a hat.
Mm-hmm. Did the hair?
Not even a birthday hat? Anyway.
We should have those. Watch Mojo birthday hats. Anyway.
Well, the official anniversary is tomorrow, so maybe we have time to get some birthday hats. I'm curious to know, I know you guys have been with the company for a long time, much longer than I have. When did you officially both start? Mike, when was your, how long has it been officially?
Oh, I thought you were going to want to start with Rebecca, who was here before me.
Okay, then let's start with Rebecca.
Yeah,
I apologize.
They're here for the Watch Mojo.
What, you didn't know that? Come on.
I'm sorry.
Anyway.
I need to brush up on my history.
You should. Well, I'll tell you right now. I first met Ash in mid-2007, which I don't even know if Ash remembers that. But I came into the office for an interview, and I got all dressed up. And I want to paint a picture of the office. At that time, it was the second office on Saint Laurent. And it had a Scarface mural. And that is not it. There, you can see it in the background of that video. But and just an island of desks in the middle. Not very many people. It was very casual in those days. And offices, I feel were not casual in those days, so I was a little confused. I got all dressed up, so I was like, "Oh, okay." I was not that well versed in the online world either, so I was not really familiar with WatchMojo when I came in, and I had a journalism background. And when Ash was like, "Hey, do you want to blog for us?" I did not know what that meant. I still don't know what that means. But so it took me a while to really get a feel for what WatchMojo was trying to be, but I actually think that was a benefit because at the time I was pretty go with the flow. I'm not go with the flow anymore.
What was your exact first impression of the company when you walked in the door?
Um, you're not gonna like this. Is this real? Is this like a real job? Am I gonna have a job if I stay here? That was my actual. But I took a chance. I had many fights with my parents about it, and I think I won the fights.
Well, you're still here, so I would say
exactly.
yes, definitely. Mike, how about you? When did you start at WatchMojo?
I started the summer of 2009. So it's been like, 16 plus years. And yeah, no, I came also from a background, not journalism, but communications. I just have a specialization in communication studies. I did film studies. I ran around the campus with the camera, the editing. I worked as a production assistant on a film production. I worked as an audio assistant, running around doing things like the Calgary Stampede, commercials in Calgary. I also worked, sorry, just to give you a quick history how it became so random. I was a high school substitute teacher. I worked for the Parks and Recreation, not like the show, but I was the supervisor there. I was like the youngest supervisor. And I really wanted to, get something solid in my field because, you're still finding yourself. And I remember I found a Craigslist ad. I actually sent it to you, Rob, because I have it still in my inbox. And, I'm doing the whole pitch, who I am, what I want to do. And Ash is just like, okay, when can you meet? So I came in to the office and it's exactly like Rebecca described. It was like, I wasn't sure what it is. I thought based on the email that it was like an international enterprise. Like I thought, okay, this isn't the New York office, it's the Montreal office. I didn't know what to expect. But I had looked at the site and back then it was all about the site. And it's like a variety show. They did comedy skits, which I was into. They did going to shops, talking to the shop owners, talking to musicians, talking to comedians. It was very interesting. I was very excited by it. And the gist of our meeting was I'm a jack of several trades and I want to just do something for you guys. And Ash was like, that's interesting. All right, we'll call you back.
And he did call you back, I presume.
I came back and I had an in-person thing with Derek on the team. Still here. Awesome. And yeah, we just kind of found what I could do because I didn't know what I wanted to do here. And like I said, I unlike Rebecca, who's like the voice of WatchMojo, I started off writing scripts. Rebecca wrote scripts too, right?
Yeah.
Editing. They tried me for interviews and I was like terrible. So, can't be good at everything.
Well, you do a lot of things, so I have to give you that. Nice comment that we received here from High Powered Beaver. 20 years of WatchMojo already. You guys are now considered the pioneer creators of YouTube. How does it feel to hear something like that, Ash?
I just did a podcast earlier today with vidIQ, which is a tool a lot of creators use. It'll be out in, I think, about 10 days. It's great. I mean, I personally still think we're unknown, have to prove ourselves. And I think coming out of a pandemic where you're not, I mean, obviously it's been a few years, but the world is like took this different parallel. So you don't really exchange as often with others. So it's easy to get stuck in your little bubble. But I mean, as a testament to YouTube, which is this dominant platform that is television, it's media, anybody that's been on YouTube has seen our videos. The number of times that I'll email somebody about somebody else, something or some other unrelated to WatchMojo, and they're like, wait a minute, WatchMojo, the WatchMojo? So that's really flattering, humbling, endearing. I mean, I'd be lying if I said it, you don't also like feel pride in, what you and the team have built. And I also think, it's great because resiliency is impossible these days and relevance is really hard. You do have to reinvent yourself while sticking to what it is that people come to you for. And as much as I say, what got you here won't get you there, I mean, clearly, the team deserves a ton of credit for building what is, wearing the analyst business kind of teacher, writer hat. It's one of the most successful case studies in digital media, not even just YouTube. Like in terms of what the team was able to accomplish, sure, some setbacks, some missteps, but overall, it's a fundamental example of just like what makes entrepreneurship, resilience, persistence, seeing something, just not to bring up the expos, like a little side project there, but like seeing something when others don't see it and operating between the improbable and the impossible is what is in the DNA of entrepreneurs. So I'm kind of like, in some ways, maybe I thought, sure, WatchMojo would be more successful. There's no limit on success. So it's not a knock. But in many ways, if you would have told that guy on January 23rd, when we uploaded that clip and you showed me where things would be, I wouldn't even hesitate. I would be like, sure, accept the deal. Let's do it. Let's take it. I mean, I used to dream for the first 6 years of just getting to a point where I didn't have to worry about payroll. Like my first 6 years was every night. I mean, literally, the first year was the lawsuit. Like I remember waking up and dreaming of the lawsuit going away. And then when the lawsuit went away for 5 years, I was just like waking up and like my dreams would be like somehow like would get intertwined with like doing a cash advance check on my credit cards just in time for the little bit of revenue that we had coming in. So no, it's super good. But again, like I'm more than ever driven to make sure the next 20 years are like infinitely exponentially more impressive.
And when you look at the team, we've got Rebecca and Mike right here, 15 plus years with the company. There's a couple more employees who celebrated their 10th anniversary recently. What does that mean to you that you have people sticking around for so long? That also is uncommon in digital media.
Yeah, I mean, I won't lie. People always in business school, you've heard me say this. In business school, you study ethics, you study culture. And then it's like when you get into corporate world, it's forgotten and it's not at all, it's an obstacle. It's a constraint. So that is what makes me most proud because to an outsider, sure, you'll see subscribers, you'll see, likes or whatever, but who cares about that? Like obviously those are metrics, but like you work with people more than you spend time with your family. So yeah, the fact that like,
not if you work with your family.
Not if you work with your family. Well, yeah, I mean, Christine, one of the other co-founders, my spouse. So even when sometimes are like, can we get along with Ash? Ash seems very driven, a bit too principled. Like, because in business, people don't care about principles. Let's just be honest. They care about profit. I'm like, I work with my spouse, 20 years. She hasn't killed me, all these people. So that is what I find the most impressive. That is what I'm most proud of. It's great. I can't get rid of these people.
Well, if I could just say what's really cool is I was married in 2013 and the whole company was at my wedding. There was a table. It was all WatchMojo. Rebecca was there. Ash was there. Christine was there. That's really cool and special that it's like, what are we, 13 years later? And I'm still working with these people that were at my wedding. Like, that's really special.
Yeah, it is definitely it feels like a family vibe for sure. I have a question for Rebecca. So you've seen the evolution of the company, and obviously as the WatchMojo lady, you've become a big part of the voice of the company. When did you really embrace that for the first time? At what point during your career did you feel like, okay, I'm the WatchMojo lady, like this is my thing?
Still waiting. No, I'm not, believe it or not, I don't really have the ego for that. So I'm very reticent to accept that responsibility. I don't really even know how to verbalize this. I accept it, but I hope that I'm very humble about it.
Well, that's a very humble answer. Ash looks like he wants to chime in with something.
I mean, we're very Canadian, we need to have a disagreement and debate. But I will say, like, that is why I personally, because again, it's in our DNA. That is why I reached out to the Guinness Book World of Records, and I was like, there must be a category now for like most, voiceovers done on YouTube. I don't know how anybody could possibly beat Rebecca in that. No, it's great. But the fascinating thing about YouTube, and again, the nature of it is when Rebecca, I'm sure today, some people might be like, oh, face reveal, even though she's been on camera a lot. It's a fascinating platform. And yeah, I mean, again, like I recommended this idea. I don't know if we did it, where I was like top 10 iconic voices and like series voice. You know, there's a few voices that have become kind of omnipresent. I wasn't sure if we would include Rebecca. We're a bit biased. That would be weird, but it would start off with like, welcome to Watch Mojo. Today we count down top 10 iconic
I
voices.
don't think we did that.
Well, you guys, because you never listen to me, you guys. No, I'm kidding. That's a joke. No, but I'm like, to a generation that has grown up the way we grew up. Hello, thank you. Greetings and love back to India. You know, this whole generation, the way like I was watching, you know, I mean, I was watching Much Music, not MTV because we're Canadian, but the generation that grew up on the MTVs, the generation that grew up like, you know, ESPN, NFL, like there's these iconic things that people attach. And I don't know if Rebecca feels it because from one's purview, our perspective is different. But yeah, like there are millions and millions, I mean, tens of millions of, I mean, we reach 100 million people a month. So billions of people, if you think about it, at least a billion, let's leave it at that have heard her voice. It's crazy when you think of the power of the internet. And sure, the power of entrepreneurship, the power of teamwork. It's just, everybody should be very proud. And that's actually why I stopped saying the whole, we're the unknown startup from Montreal, because it was like, it made sense for me to think like that. But I thought it was unfair to the team because the team's built this incredible business.
Yvonne has a cool clip teed up, so let's play that. If you don't mind, Yvonne.
No.
I'm always watching the top 10 things. Always.
Welcome to Watch Mojo. Yeah. That's me. Hey.
Oh, no way.
Oh, no
you
way.
narrated?
You do the,
Oh, my God.
Can you do the intro for us?
Right now.
Oh, really?
Please?
I've never done this in person. Welcome to Watch Mojo.
No way. Oh, my God.
This is so ridiculous.
I love your show.
How great was that moment?
That's so cool.
It was very good. You have to, okay, for context, most of my job is me under a blanket in a closet.
That
So-
sounds good. What is your job? Wait a minute. What are we working on there? No, I'm kidding.
So anytime I'm out in the wild and someone acknowledges my job, it's very, very, how do you know that? Because it represents the power of the internet, like you were saying, Ash. But it's a smaller world than you think, I guess.
Has it happened that people have recognized you just by hearing your voice and been like,
Oh, that's good.
Not
that's Watch Mojo?
really, but my dad was always very big on telling people, hey, this is the Watch Mojo lady, and people would be very excited at that point. Or if they found out that I worked in media, they were like, wait, you sound familiar, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, sometimes they take a little prompting, but people, I have been recognized.
You know what's funny? People always ask me if I know the Watch Mojo lady. Especially, I remember I was on vacation a while ago, and I was on a cruise. I'm a big cruise guy, and they have one channel that's it was just Watch Mojo looping. So I'm on vacation. I'm like, all right, no Watch Mojo for a week, whatever. I'll, just kind of whatever. And then I turn on the channel. It's welcome to Watch Mojo. And it's Rebecca, and I was like, oh, she's here. She's here on vacation. People on the boat, when they ask what I do, because you get into conversation with people in the hot tub or whatever, I'd be like, hey, have you been to channel 17? That's what I do,
Hot
And then
tub,
it's like-
under a blanket. What is this podcast? Okay, Yvonne, my good man, I sent you a link. If you could play that as I set it up. So that moment with Tom Holland, I think, was incredible for the team because it did kind of validate. And I mean, again, we all like validation is different. Like the only reason I applied for the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year is because not having an outside investor, it's not a red flag. Yeah, hold it, pause it for 1 second. People were like, is this company legit? So I was like, here, this company vetted us. Yes, it's an entrepreneur award. It's packaged individually. It's like, but an MVP of the team goes to a team that's crushing it, right? So I remember that being like a moment, like an inflection point where I could kind of shed one layer of insecurity. And so the Tom Holland, it was very meta in one sense that it was a person, an actor we covered. That movie wasn't Spider-Man, but of a very iconic kind of IP that we kind of built the business around. So it was fantastic. But for me personally, preceding that was this. I was going to VidCon, which is like the the mecca of YouTube kind of creators. I was literally I had Wi-Fi, but we were landing at LAX as we were descending, and I knew that I would lose internet connection any minute. And somebody shared this video. If you want to play it,
my favorite channel, finally did a video on me. I'm talking, of course, about WatchMojo. If you don't know WatchMojo, that's like you don't know Jesus. WatchMojo, the greatest top 10 channel of all time, with such classic titles as Top 10 Anime Chefs. If you think I've been out of ideas, WatchMojo is on a whole new level of out of ideas.
all right, I love that. So obviously he's roasting us, but I mean that was the thing. Like PewDiePie before Mr. Beast was the king of YouTube. That was a moment for me where clearly, I mean, he's roasting us. You probably saw our videos. I'm sure we're not his favorite channel. I don't want people to miss it. But that was another meta moment that like this guy who at the time probably had hit 100 million or was on the path to hit 100 million subscribers. And it was like, yeah, we're not this like thing in a vacuum, but it was a very Canadian story. As much as I always focus on the American market, and that's the biggest market, and it's a more fun, competitive market. You know, Canada's not. It's like Canada's like a oligopoly. You know, it's like everything is smaller, controlled. It's very old school. For an entrepreneur, you want to go. It's like an athlete. You want to play in the biggest leagues. So when I saw that, that was for me a moment that I was like, okay, I'm like, and the symbolism of landing in LA to go to VidCon, that was like, that kind of hit me that I'm like, okay, Ash, like, you know, it's a bit like when you get a certain job and you have to dress the part. I was like, okay, like we have kind of made it, so to speak. So yeah. And then obviously the Tom Holland one, which we use to this day. And many people mention when they find out that I work at WatchMojo, let alone start it. So
big moments for sure. Mike, I want to flip it over to you. How has the channel evolved in your eyes? Because I know you've been doing channel management for a long time, but you've done other positions, and you know how the operations work very well. So, what's the evolution been like for you?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question. I mean, because when we started, like I said, there were like three of us writing scripts. There's like Rebecca, myself, and Stephanie. And at one point, a few years into it, we were growing. We were growing so fast that it didn't make sense for just like three people to like write all the scripts. So then we rejigged, and I took over at some point managing the writers. So I did that for a few years. In between. So I had to build a writing team of dozens of writers from around the world who knew their topics, knew our style, and could help us evolve. And then we had to scale everything else, right? You have to scale the editors. You have to, you know, the same thing happens on all the sides. You got to make sure that there's more people to do voiceover. There's more people to do editing. And so that's scaled. So as we're scaling, then the challenge is also the topics, because you don't want to just do top 10 chefs. You want to, you know, and you want to keep it interesting, and you got to evolve the topics so that we're growing, we're maturing. We're not just, because it started off, I remember it started off with like top 10 movie vampires, top 10 movie, whatever, because we haven't done top 10s yet. Right. But as we grew, the topics have to become way more interesting and compelling and interesting for us also as writers, you know, can't just be like surface level. So I'd say that happened. And then channel management, it's, you know, the same thing. We like just, so I just noticing the comments, you have a lot of amazing comments here in this video with ideas, and so many, our audience is passionate. They're giving us ideas all the time, and we take it on board. We don't just ignore them. We write them down. I pencil them in. We discuss them. What can we do with this? Is it something that we should do? And can we do it justice? Right. So it's a lot of scaling, but making sure that in the translation, nothing's lost. Right. We don't want to just do it for the sake of doing it. You know, we want to do it right. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's
I just want to riff on that. And that was one reason also when I say like, oh, I got turned down by 100 VCs. It's because a lot of the VCs did not want to invest in content, but those that were open to it, they did want to scale. They didn't want like today they would be like AI, like, you know, I don't want to be crude. They would have a hard on about AI. Like, you're going to replace everybody. And I was like, it doesn't work like that, you know? So yeah, like we're always careful that like the content has to be good. The videos have to be good. It's not like, why are you smiling, Rob?
Oh, because I saw Phoebe who just left a comment. I love Watch Mojo. Hi, Phoebe, from all of us.
Hey,
Yeah,
Phoebe.
so I think it's always been that balance. And one reason, again, a lot of people are like 20 years, how does that even make sense? And I'm like, balance, the success is not just like numbers and quantity. And it's like, again, now also if you're super artsy and you're like, we did one video after like 8 years, that doesn't work either. But we're always very careful. And I didn't mind it. Because these were people on the outside. But when commenters would be like, "Oh, you guys just care about this or that," I was like, "You have no idea how much the team works on everything." It's like a restaurant. Okay, if you serve 100 plates, or actually like 500 plates, I assure you they do care that every plate is perfect. But yeah, there's going to be one where maybe this is not perfect or there's a mistake. But that's really explains the success as well. Because YouTube, yeah, online you could say there's slop, there's crap, this and that. But the web now exposes the phonies. It rewards authenticity, but ultimately you need balance, right? So yeah, it's funny when I hear these stories because I go, wow, we're always very deliberate and cared about balance and quality and quantity, frequency and consistency, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah,
No,
Rebecca.
sorry. I was just gonna jump in and just add that with that analogy with the restaurant. Like the thing is, you put out, let's say 500 plates, but we take it to heart when one of the plates has an issue because it's our reputation. We put so much of ourselves into it, and it just takes one bad plate to ruin your reputation, right? Like, oh my God, I can't believe they did this. So we do have that attention to detail, and it is people. It's a company of people. I know you had a comment about how many people are here, more than we used to have, but it is a company of people who are here. It's not a company of bots, and it's not one of those AI slop channels, which, there's a specialness to it.
Yeah, exactly. I see that too. Mistakes happen, but we always take measures to correct it and try to prevent it from happening again. And it's always been that way, it seems. Rebecca, I'm interested, as the channel really grew rapidly, how did you personally deal with that being the main voice of the channel, just with the volume of content that you guys had to start producing?
I guess at the time I wasn't the voice of the channel, to be honest with you. In my view, this is just how I see the history timeline, but there was a bump from my point of view in mid 2013 that required me to work some very long hours. I'll just say that for a very long time. And I just worked really hard personally and put, all the passion that I have for all the stuff that we do into my work. And that was what was sustaining me until we got some help.
But it is a company of extremely hardworking people. And that brings me to a fun photo that I think we have teed up of Mr. Mike over here.
Right.
A great example of work ethic. This was
HR did not approve this. I do not condone this. This was voluntary, just to be clear.
Do you want to describe what's going on here, Mike?
It's we were having a company outing, and we were going from one place to like the restaurant, and there's a video that had to go out, and I'm the guy who publishes the videos for the main flagship channel, and I needed to get it done, and I was having trouble getting on my phone signal. And it was uploading. It failed like 5 times. We were walking. We were all invested. It was like, everyone's like, oh my God, 98%, 99. Oh, fail, until it went through. And then everyone was cheering. Yeah. And I'm like, this is recently. Like, this is the hustle that we have recently.
This is a few months ago. This is, I think, in September.
Yeah.
2025. So,
yeah.
Yep. Still grinding, still hustling. Is this what would you say is like the weirdest situation that you've been in having to like do a work task?
Well, there's this. I remember, I don't know if it's weird, but like pre-COVID, there was a lot of late nights scheduling stuff. Post-COVID, there were some nights where it's like, I'll do it from my car, so, late at night. Yeah, I'm sure Rebecca has a better story.
Not better. I had to record a redo in the car in the rain in a busy parking lot. And if you record audio, you know that this is not an easy task. And it was a quick line. If I'd had to do a full script, I think it would have been a bit worse, but we made it work.
Yeah, that's to me that's amazing because I used to cut the audio for like the voiceover. So when someone's talking, we would cut out the breaths, right? Like the big breaths. Sometimes you'd leave a breath, make it feel organic. But like if the audio is suddenly no rain and then rain, like just thinking about it gives me anxiety.
Let me turn it back to Ash. Were there any like standout challenging moments during the growth period of Watch Mojo that really had you worried in any way?
Periods of growth or just general periods?
I mean, during the periods of growth, like what was
Constant.
worrying you?
I was again talking to a gentleman I know. He reached out to me like for assistance for his venture. And he was like, I'm surprised you even answered. And I told him, I said, I'm not above anybody, anything. If anybody seeks help, I'll offer help, even if it's just ideas. But what I was telling him is I said, look, I've lived what you're living for 6 years when we were losing money. But I go, even in the decade that ensued from 2012 onwards, which to an outsider were like the greatest years, it was constant. It was platform risk, copyright abuse, rights holders, abusing content ID, even if the law was on our side. And again, like had a first burnout in the late 2010s and a second one a few years ago until I realized just it's all good. Like just it's chill. Like why are you? So I think that's just the entrepreneurial reality. I think when you're like an executive, when you work for somebody, you can just say at some point, oh, it's company policy, nothing I can do. As an entrepreneur, you can't. I mean, if you have if you're an entrepreneur with investors that have control, or even if they don't have control, you might have agreed to certain things. Oh, they could make you, as I say, they'll give you an umbrella when it's sunny and ask for it when it's raining. But my situation was different, that if I ever had like an answer that was not favorable to the person I was talking to, not that I was the bad guy, but it was like kind of like seen as, so you're just in this weird situation where you, by default as an entrepreneur, you're trying to solve problems and help people. Because if you were selfish, you wouldn't start a business where you don't pay yourself for 6 years. You know what I mean? Like I think people misunderstand that the way like a liar thinks everybody lies, a cheater thinks everybody cheats. People think you're in it for the money. You're not. If you were in it for the money, I could have gone and made a job and made like insane amounts of money after Ask Men, but I started the company because it was more, whatever. We're not normal people. But so my point is, it was always like that. It's just recently after my last burnout, 2, and I said I don't want a third, that I was like, if you don't have fun, and if you have to stop letting these things bother you, because you're going to die, you're going to kill yourself, So it was always like when you ask, was there one moment? There was not one moment where I had peace. It was, it was either somebody asking something that I thought was reasonable, but maybe I couldn't say yes to, or it was somebody asking something really unreasonable, but I'm not the type to be like, you're a moron. I'm like, let me give you this context, and we've talked about this in the capitalism, socialism thing. I'm actually a very communal kind of person. I'm always thinking of like the common area to please all these different people, stakeholders. But I've also learned that you can't please everybody. And that's what it leads to. And that's fine. So entrepreneurship is really hard. Today, I actually mentioned finally that like the Academy and study of entrepreneurship, because people seeing especially the Expos hustle, they're like, this is really impressive. And it's like informative how you're so transparent. But I'm like, this is what I was doing with Watch Mojo, but that was out of survival. Like I had to do like work at 800 kilometers an hour. Whereas this is more like purpose and it's fun. But one of the things in the academy will be like, yeah, you can learn marketing, 4 Ps, finance, cost of capital. But I'm like, you're going to have to ask yourself, are you willing to put yourself through this? And if you're not, you could then be an entrepreneur. You could be a strong ally. I wouldn't be here like without the team. You need somebody who is messianic, like a maniacal.
Oh.
You need somebody who's almost like believes it's like divine, drive. Yeah. But so you need somebody like whether it's Watch Mojo, any startup, the Expos. But I like the Expos is a perfect example. Alone, you can't do anything, right? So you got to balance that.
Yeah, for sure. COVID really shook things up for the company, and that's like around the time that I came in. Everybody had already transferred to work from home, more or less. This was mid 2020 when I joined the company. But before we get into the way things changed, I want to get your views on the office atmosphere, the company atmosphere, and just like the culture and how things were before that when you guys were working in the office, because I never got to experience that. So Rebecca, how did you think the atmosphere was during those office days? Like, paint that picture for us.
So we had an open office. Anybody could just, bug their neighbor and ask them a question. There was usually some sort of brainstorming meeting happening. If you were kind of hitting a wall with what you were doing, you could go over and help rank a list. It was very collaborative. That's kind of the best word I can come up with. The open office, while can be distracting if you're trying to, nose to the grindstone, but there's just that's something that you can miss in a work from home atmosphere. It was fun. We did some filming in the office this week, and it just reminded me of the old days. Just getting together and coming up with stupid video ideas like for social media or whatever. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Mike, what about you? What do you miss about the office experience?
Well, oh my goodness. Well, not to give Rebecca PTSD, but the office was so small. I don't think she sold it enough because it was so small that Rebecca was sitting. You remember earlier? I'm talking
Which
about like,
office are you talking about?
Well, we were in the second office, which was really small, to the bigger office, but a lot of these things translate. I think this may have been early days at the other one too, but Rebecca would be doing the voiceover from her desk. That would be second office, but I'll get to the more COVID-y era. But just to bring about how small the office was, Rebecca would be doing voiceover, and I'm a button masher. And I remember Rebecca was like, "Can you stop?" And
that's not true. That's not true. I would never have done that.
Mike is one of the loudest typers I've ever heard in my life.
That is true.
I am. You did it with your eyes. But anyway, it was so small that even at the third office, right before COVID, we had like a big whiteboard and we were ranking things right there. Like we had couches and, eventually we had more rooms open up in the building. But, it's just very special. And what you're saying with everyone's desk, the people are next to you, everyone had their stuff on their desk that represented their interests. I at one point went crazy and I had Furbies all over my desk. Like it's just hard to make up. Furbies.
Okay. I was like, where is this show going?
Yeah. So, but as for like COVID and how things changed and how I feel about it, it actually made us had to evolve like at light speed when it happened. Like for example, like I was saying back in the day when we want to get a video out like at night, like we're working on it that day, something happened, we want to do it. I would stay at the office, the editor's working, I'm there with the editor. We'd wait till the video's done and I would publish it at the office and I'd get home really late and everyone's asleep. Post COVID, because we developed all these systems that we could do it from our computers, I'm able to do it like remotely, right? So that's just one difference. Yes, I miss the water cooler moments. I miss the coffee culture. We would always be around the coffee maker, the water cooler. You do lose something in translation.
Yeah, I mean, I talk a lot about this because others ask me, and I go, look, if we did not have 15 years of communications, culture, relationships, it would not have been as smooth as it was. So the one is culture. And then operations, like a decade before COVID, we made the early adopter. We had the vision, but also it wasn't great. It was painful. We shifted to the clouds, not just Google Docs, a lot of other stuff like server infrastructure. It was painful. It costs a lot of money. And this is when, like, again, like there's a lot of hidden costs that is not obvious, but it was an investment. And without it, well, we would have died. Like without it, it was like I used to say, I go, God forbid, if there's like a nuclear spill and like we can't go into the office for like a period. So we did that. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, and I mean, you guys, you know my style, I'm open. Imagine for all the things that Mike says we miss. I'm like, all right, we're going to get everybody back into the office. I mean, Yvonne's like, what? I'm in Mexico. We've gone more global. We've gone more remote. But the team earned it. This is the most lovey-dovey kumbaya podcast ever instead of like, typical talk format. But like the team earned it. Also, like practically, some people moved. Like if you know Montreal, let's say somebody might have lived 2 blocks away from Mile End. If they move to Laval or the South Shore, it's the company's call. I could be like, good for you. You still have to show up. But again, like if you want to be a decent human being and an effective leader, even if it's not altruism, even if you're just the most like biggest sociopath, 80% of CEOs are sociopath. But just FYI.
Is that a fact?
No, it is. Yeah, 80% of I mean, I have some
like Navy SEALs.
CEOs.
CEOs. I heard seals. I was like, what the hell?
I mean, I
Why are
score
you
very
thinking
high
of
on the empathy, but I'm like, I would never do that to people where I'm like, just come in because I want to walk around or because Mike said but I think we've done our best to get people back together. Last year we had the summit, we invited Yvonne and many others who were not in Montreal. I think it's fine, but I also think that's the investment in people and culture. If you're a decent human being, it pays off possibly over very long term, but also if you think about it, it saves your ass when then you are like responsible. If you don't do that, then when COVID hits, your company goes sideways.
Yeah.
Ergo the concept of being long-term greedy, and that's again, the school of entrepreneurship. That's what I want to emphasize on is these intangibles that you just don't really study in school and are not taught, because when you go work at no knock at IBM, yeah, IBM could care less about people. Not IBM literally, but what it represents, like corporations and all that.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to get an email from like IBM's PR and legal team soon.
Well, I just want to add, I didn't even mention this, that post-COVID also, because we work for remote, and yes, there's a comment, are we Canadian? We're all Canadian on this call, but we work with so many amazing people from around the world now, which we didn't, because we're in the office. Everyone was just, you're in the office, you're not in the office, right? And now it's like we get to work, like we work with Sean, name drop Sean. He works with the editorial for the channel. He's in the UK, right? Yvonne on this call, he's not here. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Ash referenced before how we don't want to look at ourselves as the small, Canadian company. And in many ways, we aren't a small company, but a lot of people are surprised that we're Canadian. And we see a lot of comments, even on this video, people are like, oh, you guys are Canadian? I didn't know that. Like, what's that like? Do you think that people maybe underestimate or see WatchMojo as like a bigger entity than you do, in the sense that, they're surprised to know that we're a Canadian company?
I mean, look, I know right now with the whole Trump tariff, like I don't talking about that in a stretch it out, zoom out. I think Canadian culture is in the DNA. It's absolutely a recipe of our success in terms of culture, in terms of customer service. I think it's a multiplication, though, of also being born in Iran. We have this extreme form of etiquette called tarof, which is extremely it's almost unhealthy. And again, like nature and nurture, like working in customer service. I mean, you guys see when we go out, like it's like you're my guest, So it's like WatchMojo has this weird culture that even like our board, they were like, this is not normal, like in a good way. They're like, we don't see this, even the tenure and all that. So I think. Now zoom out. Why are so many Canadian, why are so many Canadian comedians really successful? Not just because Canadians have a good sense of humor, but because sometimes like your cousin, self-deprecating for sure. No, that's for sure.
But why are they self-deprecating? Because why are they self-deprecating? Because they have a chip on their shoulder, because they're the younger brother of
no, it's all, but it's also you're an outsider, you observe. I think we can take any topic. I mean, we do cover current affairs. We're not political, we don't have that baggage. So it's good sometimes to be an outsider. And everything as I get older, I'm like, oh, this happened for a reason. The biggest one was, like I'm a very competitive person. Like I think more like an athlete than an entrepreneur. So for me, I was going to go build a media company that was like American centric. I had zero interest to be like the biggest thing in Canada, not because I'm not a proud Canadian, but because as an athlete, you want to go play in the main league. But then, then the details and the execution. Yeah, of course, that's Canada. No doubt about it.
Just to finish up on the work from home transition, Rebecca, during that COVID phase, did anything surprise you about how the team responded to that big change?
Just how smooth it was. I don't think we missed a beat, honestly. Like our work does translate remarkably well to remote. Once we figured out the necessary tools, and we're great at video meetings. I can't believe this many years in, people are still starting the meetings on mute. Rob, no, I'm kidding. But
I'll take note.
No, I'm kidding. Well, I'm not kidding. I actually can't believe that. But otherwise, we are very good at video meetings. They're very effective. I almost think they're more effective than in-person meetings. There, I said it.
I can't see a lot of wasted time. Sorry, a lot of delay, wasted time, and I think people
and side chatter probably.
No, but you know what it is, and this is not a bad thing. This is more of like the sociologist in me. People are more, not in a bad way, stingy, like frugal, like efficient when they're working from home because it's more their time. You know, they're going to get the work done, and also again, if like we have smart people, we have competent people. You know, in the 2017 survey, when people said like, "Why do we have a few incompetent colleagues?" It shocked me because I was like, "Everybody's a hard worker," you know, because I hated laying anybody off. But the team is quite incredible. But it's also, yeah, if you're at home, if you're like lounging at the coffee machine or walking around, well, you don't have time in between doing your work to go turn on the laundry or go pick up your kid, walk your dog. You know, I'm not naive. I understand people like their schedules are different. Like I'm on 247. I don't expect the team to be like that. But I would be really a big fat lie to say that I'm less efficient. I don't think I could have been more efficient, but I think it would be a lie to say I'm less efficient working from home. And I extend that courtesy to the team. You know, now again, if the team was a bunch of, you know, dishonest people who were like ripping off the company, being lazy bums, I would have a duty to say, guys, this is not working. But I also think as a leader, it's give and take. When you see the team is living up to their end of the bargain, why would you disrupt their lives? But we do go in for meetings, just to be clear, like certain creative meetings. When I visited Vice, Shane Smith, the founder, was like giving me the tour, like very nice digs in Brooklyn. I've said this before. They had these little closets where people would edit, and I was like, what do people do in here? And he was like, well, this is where they edit. And I was like, man, we would have like open lofts, you know. And it was like I would come in, guys, we should do this, and then people are like, shut up, I'm trying to edit this video. And then Rebecca, and yeah, we've had many offices. Like for the longest stretch of time, we had like super spacious, a lot of space. The two offices you guys are referring to were in the early years, but it was open space, right? I mean, it was kind of like open floor concept, which doesn't really make sense for the kind of work that we do. It's not like we're accountants or we're like bankers or we're like a media, like a ad agency that you're always like creative or pitching. So for our work, very lucky, working from home is fine.
Yeah, I can definitely say on my end, and I wasn't part of the WatchMojo office environment, but I did work for another media company in their office. And honestly, I'm way more productive working from home. That's just a fact. So yeah, happy to see that change.
Guys, is this an intervention?
Absolutely not.
I'm way less productive. So
the honesty is appreciated. Ash, 20 years in, what is WatchMojo's legacy to you?
I want to put it more in from the outside perspective. I do think early on people were always like WatchMojo, like the term best practices is a business jargon. But I do think like I benchmarked the best case studies that I would, you know, read in business school or business magazines. And, you know, I don't want to brag, but 20 years later, I've, you know, everybody has insecurities. I'm not that insecure. I'm very confident. But like my insecurities of like proving to be a capable, honest, you know, person that can get shit done, solve problems, that's obviously washed away. But when I do benchmark the company's performance, the job satisfaction scores, the retention, you know, on any metric, it is really a very, very impressive business. And I'm not saying that to brag. It's a reflection of the team, because you could have strategy and vision. If your team doesn't buy into it, you're a loser. You know, you're not going to succeed. So to me, I also think viewers, like when I was at NatP, and NatP in Miami is more like old school TV shows. It's not like digital. The teacher, she was a Boston-based media teacher, and she came up to me. She goes, I just want to tell you, she's like, in class, we benchmark you guys to your competitors. And she's like, you guys are constantly better at what you do. And the words I use are finesse and texture. You know, it's like when I cook, there's little things you do during the cooking process where sets the difference between, okay, this is mangeable versus incroyable. So to me, in every way, what I hope viewers feel that way, I hope employees feel that way. And, you know, you want to be the best at what you do. Like people make fun of Tom Brady for being a sociopath. He's my hero because of that. He's just a pro, you know, precise. Tom Brady, I'm not talking
drafted by the Expos.
Drafted by the Expos.
Good point.
Tom Brady, yes, for periods he had great receivers. Tom Brady never really had elite receivers. He was just a very, very assassin-like, you know, killer.
We have a very serious question in here that we must address from Ash, your business partner, Mr. Derek Allen. In 2015, you ranked the top 10 American desserts and put ice cream at number 1. Do you stand by that decision? I don't know who was
American
responsible for that
desserts?
ranking.
American
American
dessert?
desserts, yes.
What ice cream? Any ice cream or
Just ice cream, it seems.
I mean, American desserts. I think apple pie and ice cream could get the nod, but
Oh
that's
yeah, there's nothing more American than apple pie.
yeah. I mean, that's pretty. But I don't know, Rebecca. I mean, you probably. did
I
a
don't
bit-
remember ranking that personally. Although it does sound like something I would be involved in. I'd have
Now,
to see
what
the
is
whole
the
list.
best? The better question is, what is the best ice cream in the world?
I'm sure we have a ranking on that somewhere.
We do chocolate. I fought hard for chocolate to be number
Okay,
1. I think I think we did it twice. I think we did a top 10 and then we changed the number 1 for the top 20 to chocolate. I think it was vanilla in the original. I'm pretty sure this happened. I don't know.
Um.
It's a
So I
debate.
will say, this is not biased because I never like talk my book. In Persian ice cream, which is like a rose water infused pistachio heavy ice cream, Bastani Sanati, is probably one of the best. Next time we're all together, I will bring a big tub of it. But I'm not surprised if chocolate gets the nod, to be perfectly honest with you.
I don't know. I would have said vanilla because it's so versatile. You can put so many things on it. It's just
It's so boring.
So there was this is now we're going, this is why we do what we do. I used to be like Team Chocolate over vanilla, but in like not just ice cream in terms of desserts, but I did read this like kind of Substack kind of deep dive, which I was like, this person's a sociopath, where they, without any doubt of, any more in my head, that vanilla for desserts, because of its versatility, is probably better, but I still prefer chocolate.
Yeah, and that's why we originally had it at number 1, but
Yeah.
chocolate's versatile if you know what to do with it. Okay.
okay. Chocolate. Well, chocolate on chocolate. You got chocolate fudge on top of chocolate ice cream. That works.
That's what I do.
All right. Here's a hard one for Mike. This one's for you. Why have you stayed at WatchMojo this long?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's easy to just say that I enjoy the work. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy what we are, what we rank, what we talk about. I enjoy the team. I've worked closely with the same people for many, 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 many years. Even with my freelancers, like for example, one of my writers that I hired was Sean. That I was talking about, Sean Harris, on our team, and now I work with him daily. And it's crazy. Like that was so many years ago, and we're still working together, and it's evolved. Now it's, like Rebecca said, it started, people wouldn't show their faces on camera, and now I see his face, and it's cool. So it's just exciting. It's exciting. We get like, as you know, I love talking about video games and movies and TV, and that's like, it's a privilege to be able to talk about that and not do dry subjects, and learn about things. Like Rebecca has like an encyclopedic knowledge of things just without the other stuff. Rebecca does a million things. I don't want to say she just does voice, a million things, but just reading it, when you read those scripts, you have so much knowledge in your head, and that's cool, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, whenever we do like company quizzes or whatever, playing games stuff, Rebecca routinely wins those
No,
challenges.
don't play against Rebecca. You'll lose.
No, it's bad.
No, you could
bad
put
I
her
really
on.
want to go on Pop Culture Jeopardy.
No, but if you put her on Jeopardy, like, man, she'll be like that. What's that guy, Ken? You'd be like that Ken guy.
You'll never get me off TV.
Rebecca, same question. Why have you stuck with WatchMojo for so long?
I mean, I can't really say I have a different answer from Mike, to be honest, because it's just
Nailed it.
yeah. I mean, you did. Really, it's the people, it's the content, it's just fun. Why would I leave? It's like I know that you're not supposed to. Your job is not supposed to define who you are, but it's such a part of who I am that I can't imagine leaving.
What would you say to the you who was just going to start working at WatchMojo if you could send a message back in time?
Oh boy. I would say do it because like I said at the beginning, I used to get into some not fights. I don't want to say fights, but we'd have spirited debates in my family about whether this was a good idea or not, because, obviously, YouTube was untested. The internet was, well, it wasn't untested, but like building a career in this way was unheard of. And so they just wanted to make sure that I had a stable future ahead of me. And I just wanted to do something fun. And somehow the two met in the middle. So I would tell myself to go for it.
Good answer. Ash, did you want to chime in with something?
I just want to say one thing. No. One of the things is I go, like I like to say, fix your problem, or I fix it for you, because at the end, like, you want to empower people. But I don't mean it in a bad, ballsy way. What I mean is, I was like, in one day, I remember going into a couple of very well-known like stores, like the McDonald's, Starbucks variety type of stores. And in both of them, the cashier was kind of like openly complaining. Like, and again, I empathize with her. I get it. I wasn't like, I'm not a Karen, so to speak. I was like, no problem. Take your time. It's all good. You made a mistake. No problem. The wrong food. All good. But when she was like just trashing head office type of thing, I didn't say anything. It was a bit distasteful. But I wasn't, again, criticizing her. I was just empathizing the plight she's in and not getting the support. But I remember when I got in the car, I was just like, I really, really hope that when I tell the team, again, it's a free world. You want to go bash me, bash the company on something. I mean, this isn't North Korea. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm like, I really, really hope, and after 20 years, I know this now, that like, if somebody is unhappy, or if somebody wants something, or if there's a pain in your life, talk to me. And that's not just me. I mean, like, talk to your boss. Because I also think if you go work someplace, individuals can change culture. In fact, individuals, the team shapes the culture. So I'm like a masochist. I am always like customer service boy. I'm always asking, how do you feel? Forms, surveys. Most people are not like that. And it's not like, not everybody has to be like that. But I always tell people that, like, yeah, if you have a problem, go to your team, go to your manager, go to your boss, especially the CEO. I'm not saying whistleblow and burn bridges and break the line of command, which then might get you in trouble at most corporations. But I assure you, the guy who's in like the corner office, so to speak, especially founders, they do care. Like, maybe not as much as you want, but I'm like, and so when I hear these things, it warms my heart. But it's because, yeah, like, you do work with people. It's not machines. You know what I mean? Like, people, they laugh when they see how nice I am to my dog. And I joke, not in a, I'm special, I have many flaws, but I'm like, I do treat her nicer than most people treat humans. You know what I mean? But it's a creature. It's a living creature. How could you not? But so that's really, I think, Watch Mojo. And I've always said it. I'm like, I don't mind if people say something that upsets me. Like you saw, the other day there was a mistake. Sure, internally I wanted to break a chair, but then I was like, it's fine. Grand scheme of things, fix it and we'll move on. But like the ultimate point is, like, you do work with people, so you don't want everybody to be so tense and nervous because all hell breaks loose because something bad happens, and there's always fuck ups. It's just it's the nature. It's the nature of the beast, right? So if you want to be successful, you really have to realize that it's humans, it's people, and mistakes happen, and yada yada. And you also have to be tough. Don't get me wrong. Like, you can't just be like kumbaya and nobody does anything. But if you want the success, that's really in a nutshell what it is.
I'm really surprised that there's no broken chair in your background. To be honest, I'm looking for the broken chair. I'm like, there must be a bunch.
No, I'm quite zen. I mean, look, in 20 years, I remember one time I raised my voice quite a bit with somebody, shall remain nameless, but that's because that at that moment it was a clear lie, and I had water under the bridge. So I was like, basically, I got mad because I was like, don't lie to me. Like, I don't need that. But I'm passionate, but I'm not mean. Like, it's not in my blood type of thing. So. No broken chairs, although I'm sure there are certain things I might have twisted. I mean, one time I think I just got, and again, the times when I get upset, it's like once, because I go so out of my way not to make people feel like targeted if I make a thing. So once I was just like, for the love of God, I'm not talking about you. It's a general comment. I'm like, am I not allowed to suggest? Anyway, but it was just a notepad that kind of got shredded somehow.
Well, frustrations happen, but 20 years, I think you've done a great job of handling the ups and downs, and looking forward to potentially another 20. Let's make it happen.
I'm hoping.
All right.
Thank you all, mainly. Thank you for trusting not just me, but your colleagues, the company, and everything. And I will, for the first time and only time, on behalf of Watch Mojo viewers, I thank you, because you do bring them a lot of joy and satisfaction, and that's really all I could ask for. To please them, to serve them.
Absolutely. Well, Rebecca, Mike, thanks for joining us today. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, we're always trying to get you guys today. I don't think there was any death threats issued, but I mean, like,
No, no.
I thought it was only on like anniversaries they wheel out Mike and they're like, look,
It's like
this
also-
here, it's Mike.
no, it's also like last week, Rob was like, he said something to the effect of like, oh, like I enjoyed this topic, but I was like, suggest whatever you want. Like, it's a free world. All right, folks. I guess I'm seeing you all tomorrow at our happy hour to officially celebrate. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
Thank
See
you.
you then. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We got a lot of engagement on this one, so appreciate those
Yeah,
comments.
yeah.
And I'll see you guys all.
And I'll see everybody in the comments on the channel.
Yes, Mike sees everything that you write. So yeah.
Yeah,
direct
Mike took over the baton. Eventually, I needed to step away as Mr. X. It was driving me a bit crazy. And what's funny is, like 2 nights ago, when I kind of went to bed, I was like, speaking of X, the platform, I was like, X, you either start off crazy or you end up crazy staying on this platform. So
It's Twitter.
thank you, Mike,
it's
for it's a big part of it. We have to engage. We have to listen to our viewers. Thank you.
Yep, it's a real person. It's this guy right here.
Cheers.
All right. Take care, everybody. See you next time.